Welcome to our weekly live stream. I'm Carly Swenson. I am the communication strategist for Wisdom Ways. And as you'll notice, it's a little different today because it's just me. So we're trying that just while my friend Marian is out this week. So welcome. I am very excited to have you. And this week, our spiritual theme that we're discussing is the concept of waiting. And to be completely honest, it's not my strong point. There's definitely other things that I am better at than waiting. Because it's such a tricky one, because it's such a pull of tension within yourself of that excitement or anticipation, or it can even be more negative like trepidation or concern, but it's that just kind of sense of something coming that can be very exhausting in some ways, but it can also be really thrilling and motivating in ways. So part of waiting is sort of understanding within yourself how you're processing it and how you deal with it. So I know as a somewhat impatient person, it's taken time for me to enjoy the process and kind of appreciate that there are things that will unfold as they do in a very natural way with their time as they go, and that my energy or my anxiety or my constant spiraling thoughts of all the different ways something can go doesn't impact the result. Like it doesn't affect it. And I think many of us can really recall times in our lives where we wanted something to happen and we were sure, we need to go this, and we do all of the things and we check all the boxes and we're just in it with our whole heart, and everything just falls through and everything just doesn't work. And then there are these other times where we're more open to possibility, or we're open to things meeting that result, but just kind of in whatever way kind of presents itself at the time as we move forward. And when we sit in that kind of a waiting space, things flow so much more easily. For example, with me, I'm also a practicing artist, so I've had years of rejection with a few great opportunities here and there, but that involves years of submitting my work to things and just trying and trying. And a long story short, I ended up getting an exhibition in a local museum because my husband at the time and I invited our landlord's son up for coffee after a Christmas celebration. And he saw my work and he recommended it to someone else, and then that person gave me a show, and then somebody else saw my work. And it was this whole unfolding of things I never could have predicted, I never could have implemented on my own. But just having that willingness to let things fall into place in other ways, and having that sense of faith and trust, both in yourself that when the opportunity presents itself, or when you're in it and you need to choose, that you can trust yourself that you'll make the right decision, or you won't, and you'll learn from it, and that's fine too. But then also just faith that there are things working far beyond what you can know, far beyond what you can plan or predict or have any control over. And just letting that be, and knowing that forces are working how they are, and that there's an amount of patience that will work to your favor when you're allow it in yourself. So I invite you to find a comfortable position, and if you feel comfortable, close your eyes, or you can relax your gaze, and we'll just do a brief little meditation to kind of unwind and get more centered in a place where we can wait more calmly. So, So I invite you to bring your attention to your breath. And you don't have to force it or change it in any way, just drawing your attention to it. If it feels comfortable, you can place a hand on your heart. I like to do that. And just bring yourself to this moment. Greet yourself with love for taking this time to just be centered and still. There are a lot of demands on you in this world, and just these moments of peace really, really matter, and they build up over time. And I want you to think of the extensive space that exists outside of your body. And if you can, even bring your attention to like where your skin touches the air, or where your body is touching the seat, or where your feet are touching the floor. And just allow yourself to feel that interaction with the world that exists beyond you, beyond your body. And as you think about that, allow that awareness to expand. And with each breath, give yourself permission to relax a little bit more, as well as just expand. You can expand your awareness to the room you're in. As you breathe, you can bring it larger to the building. And we can even expand to the city and our state and our country and realize there are these vast interconnections between each other as people, but also us with the natural world, and even, forces or concepts that we can't tangibly interact with. And there's a sense of peace that's available in knowing things are happening and things are moving forward and connecting and preparing themselves to greet you when you are ready. And you don't have to force those kind of things. And in fact, being in this place of calm and stillness is the best form of waiting and preparation, because you're able to enjoy and be present and really take in everything that this beautiful moment has to offer. And so when you're waiting with that presence and calm, it can be very fulfilling. And so allow that sense of possibility and expansive wonder to just exist around you. And when you're ready, I invite you to bring your awareness back down to your city, to your building, back down to your room. You can bring your awareness back into your body. And take a very deep breath. Take maybe the deepest breath that you've taken today. And just allow that to sit with you for a moment. And I hope that can kind of remind you that there's an active form of waiting that is just sort of in awareness and acceptance and in moving forward. And you're allowed to rest. You're allowed to have a sense of ease. I think, at least from my own experience, if I get too anxious isn't quite the word, but just too excited about whatever, I have a tendency to miss out on really great things around me because I get very single focused. And that can be to my own detriment. So that is certainly something that I'm working on with awareness and mindfulness. But in turn, I also think that waiting can feel a lot like that concept of holding versus grasping, where like if you are holding sand, you can hold it. It's fine, it'll stay in your hand. But when you try to grasp it and close around it to really keep it tight and control it, it tends to slip through your fingers. It tends to move past you because you're putting too much force on it. And so when it comes to waiting, I invite you to try to view it and embrace it with a sense of ease and a sense of allowing the flow of just sort of your own being and what you bring to the world to be open and interact with whatever possibility and other kind of forces are at work. If you are a more religious person, I recommend kind of the like let go and let God mentality of just knowing that you can only control what you put in the world and your response to kind of what comes at you. And in the grand scheme of things, that's kind of small. That's a small amount of things you have control over. So a willingness to just trust and have faith that things can go well, I think is really a good part of that waiting. And if you're someone like me who's more of a secular kind of spiritual person, I am really aware that the universe has my back. That's a phrase from a friend of mine where I've seen it now. And I think if we reflect in our own lives, you can see ways that things fell into place, where coincidences or just fascinating ways that the universe or God moments, really demonstrate that there are other things looking out for you. There are other things that are possible that you don't have to have control over, and that's really wonderful. So, allow for that waiting and that possibility. So we'll leave it there, but thank you so much for joining me. I hope that we see you again next week. And if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments.